revenues can grow if you have good operational systems in place. All you're doing is rinse and repeat. The utilization of your people and your systems stay constant and can punch out that top line revenue for you.
In this episode of Conversations Beyond the Brand, Tashana Thompson sits down with Sandy Petty, CEO and founder of Executive Financial Partners, a fractional CFO firm helping law firms and professional service businesses transform their financial operations into a strategic advantage for sustainable growth.
What is the difference between growth and scale? True scaling.
So true scaling is being able to grow that top line revenue and your bottom line net income without adding any expense or systems or people. Business owners are really good at what they do. What happens is that with growth comes exposure. It exposes that you have weak financial systems or strong ones. Some of the leadership habits that you might have had that really worked initially or that got you to wherever you are, they're not really working. And so you're finding yourself stressed out, hustling through.
Let's talk about management of cash flow.
Ay, ay, ay.
When people find themselves in places when it's tax time and they have the tax bill and on paper it looks like they should have the money sitting and they don't, what are the primary reasons you find that they do not have that money sitting in said bank account? Welcome back to Conversations Beyond the Brand, the space where we sit down with heart-centered, mission-led leaders and pull back the curtain on the stories behind the brands. I'm your host, Tashana Thompson, a brand strategist and relationship marketer who has spent over 2 decades believing that your story is your strategy. This show is where I get to prove that, one conversation at a time. Before we get into today's conversation, if these episodes have been speaking to something that you are either building, leading, or wrestling with, please take a moment to like, comment, and subscribe. It's the simplest way to make sure that stories like these keep reaching the people that need them. And it helps us continue bringing you leaders who are doing meaningful work. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Conversations Beyond the Brand. I am your host, Tashana Thompson, and I'm super excited for today's conversation. Today I'm joined by a brilliant financial mind, and I'm just buzzing. Today I have Sandy Petty with me with Executive Financial Partners, and I am just elated about this conversation. Sandy, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much, Shoshana. Thank you for having me. It's my honor to be here, and I am looking forward to just having a conversation with you.
Yes. So before we even get started, I want the people to know in your own words who you are, who you serve, what you do, all that fun stuff.
Good. Well, I'm Sandy Petty. My firm is Executive Financial Partners. We are a boutique accounting and advisory firm. So we serve business owners that are looking to scale and get to next level. So anyone who is serious about their business, not just a hobby, not just a little side hustle, but really serious about, you know what, I am going to grow this thing, whether you're growing it for retirement or you're passionate about a certain mission or whatever it is that you have. That's who our clients that we serve. So we do have a couple niches. So we have a few law firms that we love to serve and healthcare professionals. So if I look across my portfolio, I would say about 80% is healthcare professionals. So mental health professionals, doctors, optometrists, dentists. They typically have an electronic health record system that they have, and then there's the accounting system. And then the second niche is law firms. So they also typically have their case software, especially that they have. Clio is one that we love to work with, and consultants. So mostly service-based businesses, if you want to generalize. But we do have those sub niches, but mostly service-based businesses is who we serve. And again, our business owners are busy. Typically, they are so busy and they just want to, hey, I want to stay in the front office. Sandy, you handle the back office. So they really and truly leave that up to us. They're not trying to get into billing They're not trying to get into paying invoices. They're not trying to do any of that stuff. So we
Right.
handle all that.
I love it. I love it. So I know that you help clients grow with clarity and confidence and structure in their finances that so many of us service-based businesses don't have from that side of things. I mean, you mentioned that you're working with experts, doctors, lawyers, mental health professionals. So tell us about what led you here. So how did you
Okay.
do this work? All that good stuff.
Sure, sure. So, so there's a couple of things. I'm going to take you back a little bit to move us forward. So the first thing is you need to know that in from ninth grade, I knew I wanted to be an accountant.
Wow. That's
Okay, ninth grade. When I left the beautiful island of Aruba at the age of 16, I flew to New York and I walked into college and I was walking in with an accounting major. I was
wow.
16 years old. I knew that's what I was going to do. And I haven't looked back. So that's the first thing,
Can I
right?
stop really quick?
Yeah, sure. Sure.
What My daughter turns 9 this weekend. What in your 9-year-old heart, if you can remember,
Mhm.
knew that you were going to be an accountant, knew that this is what you wanted to do? Why?
Yeah. So in Aruba, we start high school at in seventh grade. I mean, it's a little different the Dutch system than it is in the American system. But so in seventh, so it was 11 years, seventh grade, seventh, eighth, ninth grade. You then have to choose what we call a package, and the package of subjects is geared towards what direction you want to go in, right? So they really force us kind of young. Like if we're trying to go into the medical field and become a future doctor, then we know we need to have chemistry, physics, biology. We need to have those, right?
Mhm.
So I knew it wasn't going to be biology and it wasn't going to be chemistry. So I liked physics and I liked math.
Uh-huh.
And because I couldn't choose some of the other subjects that I already had that I knew I didn't like. I didn't like geography. I didn't like history. Biology, I was like, eh. So
Uh-huh.
it made me choose two brand new subjects that were going to be introduced to us in ninth grade. And that was economics and
Uh-huh.
bookkeeping.
Wow.
So here it is in my little, like you said, 9-year-old heart. I had math for sure. I had physics for sure, and then I chose the two new subjects that they were going to introduce to us, which was economics and bookkeeping and accounting, right? So, and let me tell you, I hit the ground running. Chapter one, right?
Wow.
Chapter one on the balance sheet, debits, credits. I just soaked it up. And then the economics of things. I loved economics, hearing about macroeconomics and microeconomics. So right off the bat, I knew it was going to be business and it was going to be in this new subject, accounting, because I was really, really good at math. And so now with the accounting, the debits, the credits, the balance sheet, all that stuff, business, yeah, that was it. So that
That's
really, I mean,
amazing.
you're taking me back, but I
I know, but I think it is so fascinating, the things that were in our hearts as children. And
yes,
sometimes they come to fruition and sometimes not. But I think when we
yeah,
were at that age, like 9, 10-ish, I
hmm
wanted to be a writer. Like I wanted to be an author. And I've done a little bit of that. Um,
right.
but it's so interesting like how it matriculates. And even if it's not that exact thing, sometimes
hmm
it's, in and or around it. So thank you so much for sharing that story. I'm fascinated
No, you're fine. You're fine. Absolutely.
by origin
And
stories, right?
yeah, and the high school that I went to, if we want to, make it equivalent to the US, I did 11 grades. I went to 11th grade, and at 11th grade, I was ready to go to college. So I did not do 12. I didn't go to 12th grade. From
Right.
11th grade, I came
Is
straight to the
there a
United
12th grade
States.
or
There
is there
is. There
there
is
is?
a 12th
So
grade.
you
There
were
is a
just so
12th
smart.
grade.
You said, "Well, I'm done." and
I'm
I'm
done.
16 years old,
I'm
and
done. I'm 16.
I'm
I'm
going
going
to
to New
move
York.
out of the country
The Big Apple.
to go
It was the
to the
Big
fastest
Apple.
paced city in the US.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I went to Hofstra University
Uh-huh.
as an accounting major, and
At 16.
at 16, yep.
But did your
And
family come with
I've been
you?
doing nope, nope. We didn't have it like that. My mom finished fifth grade, so she worked in the hotel industry on the island, and so no, I was put on a plane. My mom and dad had separated already, so my dad lived in Miami, and so my mom had me on a flight that connected in Miami. My dad came and met me. I hadn't seen him in about what 5 years, 5 years. Came and met me, and he was so proud that his little girl is moving to New York, and so he met me at the airport while I was in transition, and then put me on the next flight up to New York and introduced me at that time. I mean, we're here talking business, but just on the personal side, right? I got to meet my half sister and two half brothers that I had that were older, and I hadn't known them, but they lived in New York. So
Wow.
that reconnection with my dad allowed me to meet my older siblings that I hadn't met before.
Wow. Yeah, and here's the thing, business is personal, and
Business is personal, yes. Because
there is, yeah, a
it
human
is
side
part of
to
who
it.
you it a human side, and it's part of who you are, right? It is really part of who you are, and how I grew up, I know, and how I've evolved into the professional that I am today. All of it is part of what makes me unique, what makes me different in how I serve, who I help, and how I serve my clients.
Okay, so I love this story, and I can stop you at many points. But
Sure, sure.
you get to school, you're in New York, you're in college, bring me to present day.
Yeah, so flew through college. So I started at 16, finished at 20. And at that time, I thought, because most of my friends went to Europe, they go to the Netherlands to continuing education for their college. I chose something different in coming to the United States. So I thought, okay, now that I got my bachelor's degree, let me reconnect with my friends in Holland. And so I moved over there after college for a short bit. I started working at the time, Touche Ross. That was before Deloitte became Deloitte and Touche, and it was Touche Ross. So taking you back a few years here, one of the big four accounting firms, started working with them. And interestingly enough, working internationally in the Netherlands with them, the partners there encouraged me to return to the United States. They said, if you stay here, you would have to do so much more schooling. So the best course of direction for you, go back to the United States, get your master's, and get your CPA in the US instead of trying to get the chartered accountant and switching over to the European system in the chartered accountant. So
Wow.
I didn't stay long, stayed a few months, took their advice, returned to the United States, and went to St. John's University and got my MBA in when I started, got my MBA in accounting, and thinking that's what I needed in order to, get my CPA. And truly, my professors and the people I came in contact with were my advisors. I didn't have a mentor, I didn't have a sponsor, none of those things. So, I started off my first semester, master's in accounting, and got all A's. And the professors were like, "Why are you taking these classes again?" And I
Oh,
said,
wow.
"Oh, I want to I want to get my CPA." They were like, "Listen, you're ready. Just go take the CPA exam. You're done. And instead, if you still want if you still want an MBA, go get it in finance." So, like I said, I
Mm.
took the advice of my professors and the people the people in my circle at that time, and that's who I had very closely, because I was very young and I was here in the United States by myself. So I really looked up to my professors and I built relationships with them. So I did exactly what they said. I went and took the CPA exam, passed it on the first try. This was got my New York license, and and then continued with my MBA, but in finance. And the finance accounting combination was just tremendous for me because I worked at the Big Four accounting firm once I graduated with my MBA. Then Cooper's, today PwC, hired me right out of school, and my first clients were investment banks on Wall Street. Those are
Wow.
the clients that those were my first clients and my initiation into the business world, right? And the fact that I had an MBA in finance combined with the accounting was just a beautiful combination, servicing, highly regulated financial services clients.
Absolutely. That's amazing. So, how long did you work in the corporate world before beginning your own business?
Yeah, I worked in the corporate world. So I think I started in 1990
Mm.
at the Big Four in New York City. And I literally worked in the corporate world until 2018. So
Wow.
I don't know what the math is. I'm supposed
A
to be
long
so good at math,
time. A long time. We'll just say that.
aging myself here. But 2018, in April of 2018, I started my own business. And that really was a result of a couple of things. One, I worked for a large regional bank in the Midwest, even though I resided in Atlanta. So I work remote, and they really wanted to promote me. I served as a subject matter expert for 118 team members in internal audit for this bank. And
Wow.
so once they wanted once my role shifted to be somewhat more educational, what happened was one of my team members got promoted within 6 months, and my team member had no financial services experience. She came from oil and gas. And they were like, "We want to know what you're doing, Sandy. This is just incredible, right? How is it that you are in Atlanta, your team member is in Ohio, no financial services experience, but you've had the kind of impact on her growth and development to get her to the manager level in such a short time?"
Wow.
And
Yes.
and so they wanted to shift my role, right, to be somewhat more educational. But in doing so, right, everyone is there were 116, there were 118 team members,
Right.
116 of which were in Ohio, and
Right.
only two of us were remote, one in Boston and I was in Atlanta. I
Right.
was like, I think you're trying to tell me that I'm going to have to move to Ohio. And at the time, my family wasn't in a place or a position to make that move.
Right.
So I resigned and I started consulting, and as I was consulting, then that kind of led me to, what, I really like serving multiple clients. It took me back to my first days in New York where I was servicing financial services clients, and I thought I really like this. So that morphed into me starting my own firm. So on April 26, 2018, I started Executive Financial Partners, and we one client at a time. Hey, we were serving as a fractional CFO for that client, doing all of their accounting, but also being a support to their management team. And was a large first client that I started with, and here we are. So
Wow. What an amazing story. What, like, this is what it's all about. And I want our listeners to, bear with us because some it's like, okay, what is this about? Tell me how to scale. But this origin story is so important and foundational to how you work, how you serve, the expertise that you're coming with. And it's so important for our clients and ideal clients to kind of know this background of the human side of us. So thank you for sharing that. Matt, I do want
absolutely, thanks.
to transition us until all the work that you do to help businesses scale. Everybody wants to scale. All service
Everybody wants to
businesses.
scale. Yes, they all
Everybody's
do.
not ready to scale.
But
Right.
not everyone is ready to scale, right? Not everyone is ready to scale. So the thing that's really important, right? So in my career journey, whether even as an auditor, right, as an external auditor, or whether I served internally as a controller or a CFO for businesses, what I noticed is that um, you know, business owners are really good at what they do,
Yes.
really and truly. What happens is that with growth comes exposure.
Yes.
So it exposes everything. So it exposes that you have weak financial systems or strong ones,
Mhm.
or roles are muddy, not clear, right? I'm doing this and this and that. I'm not really sure. There's no defined roles. Um, some of the leadership habits that you might have had that really worked initially or that got you to whatever, wherever you are, they're not really working. And so you're finding yourself kind of, you know, stressed out, hustling through. And so that really what that's doing is really exposing the areas in where you need to first tackle as you're getting ready to scale.
Okay. What patterns keep showing up for you when you look at companies that are trying to scale? Like, what are the things that you notice that are their challenges or blind spots that you just spoke of?
Okay. So if let's talk about systems, right?
Mhm.
So not first is not having very clear systems. And with systems, I mean not just financial systems, operational systems. So how one onboards a new customer. When that customer onboards, what happens next? How you're servicing that customer, right? So you have this agreement. How are you fulfilling that agreement for that customer? What are the things you said you were going to do for that customer?
Right.
And are you really doing them and fulfilling them, right?
Right.
And listing them out. So that's one of the biggest things in terms of systems. If we drill more into the CFO side of me, which is one of the areas, of course, that I'm really strong in, then you're thinking about the numbers, right? Can I really trust the numbers? So how are those numbers getting from the client coming in through your door onto your balance sheet or your profit and loss? That whole process is a system,
Right.
right? And so if your financials are late, messy, confusing, then growth is just going to make it worse,
Oh,
right? So and here's the thing, cash flows also got to be a very big important component
huge.
because growth eats cash.
It does.
So a lot of businesses look successful on paper, but they're one bad month away from stress. So if
Absolutely.
scaling is going to mean worrying about payroll or taxes, then it's probably too early. Then you're not ready to scale. It's too early. So let's say your revenue doubles tomorrow. What would break first? If the
Me.
answer is you, then that's a sign. If it's you, then it's a sign. If it's the founder, then means the founder is still involved in everything. So growth is hitting a ceiling very fast, right?
Yeah.
So leadership readiness, right? You might not really be ready from a leadership standpoint.
I love that.
So,
Do you
and then the
find that
last,
in your organizations? Excuse me. Do you find that in a lot of your organizations that they're not ready from a leadership standpoint?
so yes, yes, I had a client that came to me, and she came to us from another accounting firm, and really and truly, it was because she was growing very quickly, right? She was growing on paper very quickly. So revenues were growing. Revenues can grow, but profit margin not growing. And
Right.
operationally, she just really needed clarity around operationally. So when we got together, we just talked, she and I talked about her systems. We talked about the physicians that worked in her office, who was bringing in what was bringing in who, what was her caseload like, and then her operational systems, like outside of what they were doing from an administrative standpoint in the back office, her as the business owner, not necessarily the therapist, but the business owner,
Right.
how was she handling that from systemically, right? And so she was at the point where, you know what, I'm ready to sell the business and walk away. And she had a profitable business. Isn't
Wow.
that something? Isn't that something?
Was
She
it
was
because she
ready
was
to
so
close
stressed?
up. Excuse me?
Was it because she was so stressed?
Yeah, it wasn't worth it. After a while for her, it wasn't worth the money, wasn't worth it. She was so stressed, and the back office, the operational side of things, the system side of things. So what makes me different than a lot of accountants is, number one, I was an auditor, but then I became a consultant and I helped with internal controls consultant, right? Making sure that companies had strong internal controls. And then I worked as a controller, a financial analyst, and then a CFO. So I've pretty much worked in every area, right, within the accounting and financial world. And then, as fate would have it, in one of my corporate stints, I was given responsibility for human resources. So then I got certified in human resources. So it brings a uniqueness to how I work with my clients. I'm not just, oh, you're a bookkeeper, let me just do some QuickBooks for you and you're done. But inevitably, the numbers tell a story, right? So if you really know numbers and know how the numbers really work, it will tell the story of what's happening in the business. You can see, hey, your profit margins are tight. What does that mean? Is what's eating up those margins? Is it your people? Are you too top heavy? Maybe you have a whole bunch of high level, six-figure salaries you're paying out for this little small operation that you have. Can you make a change to that? Or maybe you're not pricing right,
Yeah.
and the
Yeah.
pricing you're not pricing correctly, and so now everything is eating up your margin, so you're really not making money, so your revenues look really nice and high, but when it comes down to the bottom line, what's happening there? So like I said, the numbers tell the story, and if you dig really into people's numbers the right way and you have sufficient expertise, you can spot those things and help the client then, and talk to the client, have conversations. So I meet with my clients monthly. We don't wait until now, December, hey, year end, tax time, let me get those numbers together for you, so we talk monthly, and we talk about where you are seeing your business going,
Right.
right? If depending on the size of business, you, just like everything else, have a budget, right? We all want to have a good budget in our homes, make sure we're not overspending. Same thing for our business. Are we budgeting, and are we looking at those budgets consistently and tracking it to what's actually happening to see if we need to make tweaks? Let's change that budget. Let's forecast different. You know what? Based on what I'm seeing here.
Right.
So, so
Yep.
that's the I think it's a benefit that we bring to that I bring to small businesses, and eating my own home cooking, I have to make sure that I am charging for some of all of the advice that I give to the
Right.
education that I give to the clients, to my own clients sometimes. But
Yeah.
even your bookkeepers are benefiting from my years of experience, because inevitably I'm going to share something. I'm not just like, well, you only paid for this or that. You know what I'm saying? I don't
Absolutely.
nickel and dime. So for me, it's
Absolutely.
like your success and your growth is my success and my growth.
Absolutely. So I want to touch on something you said a little bit ago about when companies get ready to scale and notice that they have a leak in the faucet somewhere, right? And when it becomes a leadership issue and not an accounting one, but you are serving as this fractional CFO and partner, how are you able to bring those challenges to light for your client when they're not necessarily purely
On
financial?
the financial side. So the good thing is that I have a network of folks that I know, and from my corporate days and even from my short 7-year entrepreneurial days, that I stay in touch with. So I'm definitely not the type to take on something that I can't handle.
Right.
So if I see something, right, so they don't have clarity, let's say surrounding the roles, and they really need to bring in some type of a coach or some type of a HR expert. I have the benefit that I was a member of SHRM, the Society of Human Resources, and I have kept in touch with some very highly skilled human resource professionals who have served as people officers, chief people officers in fortune companies and in mid-sized privately held companies, and now are on their own, that I will tap them on the shoulder and say, hey, hey, Karen, or
Right.
whomever, Virginia, hey, I need, I have this client here that can have a need for your expertise. Is this something that you can take on? Or if it's a smaller company, hey, Jasmine, can you, handle this client here?
I love
So
that.
I work with others who have the expertise, and then I can bring them in and partner with them. I had a client that needed some like a salary study,
Yes.
and needed a employee handbook. Um, just tapped someone and brought them in. So, I pay it forward, and I look forward to working with different professionals. No one is successful on their own, and no man is an island. So,
So true. So back to scaling. I feel
yes.
like it's such a buzzword and it sounds exciting. And it often brings, like we've talked about, stress and strain. I can think back to a few years ago, I had like my most successful revenue year. And when I tell you, it was the worst year.
Mm,
Um, and it for all the reasons that we've talked about, right? If certain things aren't in place from a leadership perspective, if I'm too involved, and all the things,
mhm,
right?
mhm,
And I'm bringing this up not to air my dirty laundry necessarily, but I'm an open book, but to benefit the women that I serve and the women in my community who often find themselves in similar roles. They want to scale, they want to grow their teams, they want to grow revenue. Revenue many times is growing, team is not, and they're still holding so much.
Before we jump back in, have you ever felt like running your business means wearing so many hats? Like you're juggling everything at once? That's why we're proud to have Beyond Business Solutions as the sponsor of this episode. They help entrepreneurs like you stay organized, save time, and focus on what really matters: growing your business. If you're looking for your very own branding and marketing team that truly cares about helping you succeed, visit beyondsolutions.biz. Now, let's get back to the conversation.
From your perspective, what does scaling actually mean when it's done well?
So I think when scaling is done well, is oftentimes the business owner needs to take a pause and step back.
Mm,
And how I like to help, if I were coaching, and oftentimes most of my clients don't know that I have this extra tool in my toolbox. So it's not like I have done this a lot of times, but I have done this.
right.
Um, and a few times, not a lot, but a few times. What I have done, and this is what I did with that physician also that I mentioned, is we went through and we talked through the areas of the business. Take a step back. Let's not get overwhelmed. Let's just go one area at a time, and let's talk about how we can systemize that specific area. Whether it's build efficiencies, make sure you have an SOP. How are you involved in it? And let's see, who can you delegate this to?
Right.
So I think that when companies pause and they take time and they segment the various areas, right? They ensure that they are not the chief bottle washer on in every one of these areas,
Mhm.
then they can scale really well, because now they have, uh, let's take in an accounting firm, for example, and use myself as an example. So now, if I have someone who can handle a discovery call, I don't necessarily have to do all the discovery calls.
Right.
Now the client now decides to move forward with a diagnostic assessment, and I have someone that can do the diagnostic assessment. So I am no longer doing just the diagnostic assessment.
Right.
Now, someone has to deliver the message of the findings of that diagnostic strategic assessment to the customer. And if I have someone who can do that, that's even better. But if that's the only area that I'm involved in, where I am giving the message of, here are our findings of what's happened in your business or what's happening in your business, for example, right? Then that's a good thing. Now I'm there to deliver that message, but also to close the sale and convert them from a diagnostic engagement to monthly recurring engagement, right? Because now they want to hire me to keep it going.
Right.
So then that's awesome, because now I have a team that can work on the books, right? In terms of the backward looking, right? The accounting, the controllership. Then I also have a CFO on the forward looking who can take them and work on the forward looking and can have the monthly meetings. So now I am out.
Not as involved. I love that. I love that.
I'm not as
I
involved.
think that's such a major challenge for, I've found myself there more than one time. I'm celebrating 19 years in business this month.
Congratulations.
Thank
19.
you.
I'm just a baby here.
No, you're doing so well. But I think that, and I'll again share for the sake of hopefully being a blessing to somebody. I think for a long time, I'd say the first 10 plus years of business, I
Mhm.
only wanted it to be this little because I wanted to touch everything and I didn't want to give any of my babies. I don't want you to hold my baby. So I have to hold all the babies. I have to do all the things. And if I'm not careful, if I'm being transparent, it can be really easy to fall back into that, even when you have a team, right?
Correct.
So I think it's
Correct.
so important that you said that and that people think that revenue is the only indicator of like being ready to scale. But you're spot on and so perfect. And we've had other guests. I can think of Charlotte. I know you know Charlotte. Um,
Mhm.
who came on a little while ago and was talking about SOPs and really laying everything on the table so that businesses are able to grow and scale. So I have a follow-up question to that now. What is the difference
Mhm.
between growth and scale? True scaling in your from your perspective.
Awesome. So true scaling is being able to grow that top line revenue and your bottom line net income without adding any expense or systems or people.
Say it again, please. Sandy, say
true
it again.
scaling, true scaling is growing your top line revenue and the bottom line net income without adding any additional expense or people or systems. So your expenses stay constant, but your revenue grow and your therefore your net income grows because your expenses stay constant.
How is
That's
this
true scaling,
possible? Because
because you're leveraging, you have to leverage people and systems to scale.
okay, so give us
I mean,
give
I'm
us
and I have just simplified it and said it in one sentence, right?
yes, I
For
love
you.
that though.
But yeah.
I love that because we want good sound bites. But I want you to tell me 2 or 3 things that you think, if I come to you and I say, "Okay, Sandy, my revenue increased by 20% last year. Um, net income increased by 10% last year. I think I'm ready to scale." Making up stuff here, by the way.
Yeah. We're just making up and we're
It's
just
a
talking. We're just
conversation.
having conversations. Yeah, we're
Absolutely.
having. So
So
the thing is revenues can grow if you have good operational systems in place. It's all you're doing is rinse and repeat. Again, I'm simplifying it for you, right? I'm keeping it simple. All you're doing is rinsing and repeating, but your systems, your operational systems the utilization of your people and your systems stay constant and can punch out
Right.
that revenue, that top line revenue for you. And so inevitably the bottom line will also increase because the middle part is constant.
Got it. Got it. I love that. I want to touch on something else that you said. More revenue does not always equate to a healthy business. Let's talk about that a little bit.
So that is a hard concept to.
Oh, I understand it very clearly because
I'm just saying it's a hard concept
More
to
revenue.
articulate to people because revenue doesn't equal cash flow.
No.
That's, and again, that's the one sentence soundbite, right? Revenue does not equal cash flow. So the thing a lot of times is like, wow, and this is okay, so this is not a call about taxes. Let me start off there.
No.
But because here's what happens, right? Oh my gosh, why am I paying all this taxes? I don't have any money in the bank to pay these taxes. Yeah, but your revenue grew. How could that be possible? Revenue doesn't equal cash in the bank. So you have to monitor cash flow. So a lot of companies, they look very successful on paper. You heard me say that earlier, but they're one bad month away from a lot of stress, right? So you really have to manage cash flow.
Let's talk about management of cash flow.
Management of cash flow.
When people find themselves in places when it's tax time and they have the tax bill and on paper it looks like they should have the money sitting and they don't. What are the primary reasons you find that they do not have that money sitting in said bank account?
They spend it and didn't realize they spent it. So that's one. That's the biggest one. Because they
What though?
I'll tell you a couple of examples. So you can have subscriptions that you don't even know you have, and they're coming out monthly. One of the newsletters I sent out in the fourth quarter last year was, let's do an audit of your subscriptions. Let's go through and go and I'm telling you, everybody finds a subscription that they thought that they were no longer paying for, that they are paying for. Sometimes it just automatically comes out. Sometimes too. Again, I'm saying, so, I did that with a client. Let's go through every line item on your P&L, for example. I went through with her. And so this is a real life example. And again, here's what happened. She was paying ADP payroll, right? And she was paying QuickBooks for payroll, not just QuickBooks operations.
I know how expensive it is, yeah.
QuickBooks payroll. And I'm like, why are you paying? Who are you running payroll with? Because as far as I know, right, her accountant, I am on her ADP dashboard, right? She's on my ADP dashboard as a client running her payroll once monthly through ADP. I'm like, so why do you have QuickBooks payroll? I didn't even know you have a subscription for ADP payroll, but it's buried, right? It's buried in her QuickBooks subscription, right? She's paying, QuickBooks is charging her once, but it really has two subscriptions buried in one.
Yep.
So until we peel that back, I mean, this is real life stuff here we're talking, right? So unscripted, because I'm like,
true.
it happened. She got my newsletter and she says, all right, Sandy, you said for us to do this. Can we do it together? I'm like, okay, all right, let's get on a Zoom. I'm like, the thing is for you to do it, but okay, I'll go on, get on a Zoom with you. And I'm saying, what is this line item? This seems, what is this? It seems very high. Paying for two payroll. So she had a few contractors that she was paying them through QuickBooks payroll, and she forgot about them. And I said, why are you doing that? And you're paying ADP. Why not just run all payroll together in one vendor? it happens more often than you think.
No, I know it does. Like I'm a marketer, so there's so many wonderful tools and shiny things that
A
I'm going
lot of
through
shiny
my
things that we don't know about.
so many
So
shiny things.
yeah, so today I use Scribe for my SOPs, but I also have Loom. And I'm like, do I really need Loom if I have Scribe?
Yeah.
Why can't I just choose one? But it eats up your cash and you don't even realize it.
Little by little. And it's the
Little
little
by little, it's the little foxes.
things.
So yes.
That's so true.
So you
So
have to monitor cash flow. And I think a lot of businesses do not some accountants charge extra for that cash flow monitoring or that cash flow analysis. It's a higher level. It's not just bookkeeping. I'm just saying. So then, if you're a small business, you're thinking, I can't really afford it, but you can't afford not to have it.
you really can't. When you get to a
That's
certain level,
You
I
just
tell
can't
people all the
afford not to
time,
have it.
even, with our services, when you get to a certain point, you don't do your, most of us don't change our oil ourselves unless we're just mechanically inclined. Most of us don't do our own taxes. So why would you trust at a certain point that you can do your
Yeah.
financials by yourself or your
Mhm.
marketing by yourself? Or like you need professionals because you're focused on the thing that you're good at, that you're doing in your business. Um,
Exactly.
that's one of the things that too I know keeps us from scaling is the inability to link arms with partners and say, "Oh, Sandy, I'm so glad I met you. Here you go. I trust you. Going to be my long-term strategic partner. You have this part. We meet, and I'm going to go off here. Oh, Tashana, I'm so glad I met you. Here's my marketing. Here's my branding. We meet. You can hand me the thing." People don't want people to hold their babies, and then the baby doesn't grow up. The baby
Exactly.
doesn't grow up. The baby, and obviously, I'm using the analogy of baby being the business.
But
Doesn't get to be.
I'm going to switch a little bit of gears. So my husband and I, one of the ways that we give back is that we help with marriage workshops, right? Just a total thing that we enjoy doing.
Love
God
it.
has blessed us, a way of giving back. Reason I bring that up is we all have blind spots. Even
Yes.
in marriages, in the individually we have blind spots, in marriages we have blind spots. And let me tell you, it's so important to have that outside perspective. We recently had a couple visiting us for a week on their vacation, and they could see certain dynamics. It's a healthy thing. It's okay. It's okay to grow and have people point out some of your blind spots so you can get to the next level. It's the same way in your business. So if your accountant isn't really helping you with your blind spots, you're good at what you do. If you're a lawyer, you are good at practicing law. You
Yeah.
are good at managing your caseloads. But trust me, there's someone else who can do that three-way reconciliation for you,
Far
that
better.
one enjoys doing it, is good at it. It probably gives you stress. Pass it off. How are you ever going to scale if you're trying to hold on to that as well? That I
Love
just used that one as an example, but that's in every business, right?
Absolutely. I love that you brought up blind spots. What are some other blind spots financially that you see business owners having? Obviously, the cash flow is one. Leadership stuff is another that's kind of apart
I
from
think
finance.
margins is a big one that people don't often spend time with. Margins. So
Okay.
margins and cash flow are the two big ones that I see often. And especially companies just utilizing QuickBooks or Zero or any one of those softwares that are not necessarily your big box or your big business accounting software. You just have to set it up where you could still track your margins, still track EBITDA and those things, especially if you're trying to get to next level.
Got it. Love that.
Because those softwares, they it comes out of the box the way it is, and people are like, oh, it is the way that it is. I can do my own bookkeeping, and it's not really set up. Well, you really want to track your margins because you want to know if you're being profitable.
I love that. Okay, so you've given us some great tips and things to think about in terms of scaling. Before we go, I want to go back to learning a bit more about you and the firm.
Sure.
And how do you want your clients to feel when they interact with your brand, with your organization?
Yeah. I want them to feel truly like we're partners. The name in the business, the way we came up with the name, I know it sounds like a financial services, like people who help you with investments and all that. But the reason we came up with the name that it is that way, Executive Financial Partners, is because we really want them to feel like we're in partnership together, right? We are that executive, that financial executive that you normally would have had sitting next to you, business owner,
Hmm.
right? In your offices. So while we might be virtual or we might be a distance away from you or wherever, but we want you to feel like we are in partnership with you. We are that financial partner that's there for you. We're one, we discuss things together. We discuss your growth. We discussed future. We discussed what you want to do next, whether you want to buy a building next or you want to expand to a second location or into a new city or internationally. Yes, we
Internationally.
service. Yes, internationally. I speak 5 languages.
Wow.
So yes, we can help you internationally. We have a client in the Netherlands. The leadership team is in the Netherlands. They're in Europe. Yep, it's a little tricky scheduling and all that, but you know what? We make it work because we're partners. I'm partnering with them right now to help them with efficiencies. We're building, and it's a pretty sizable company, but I'm building in the efficiencies within the operations, one area at a time. Let's take payroll first. Let's take accounts payable second. Let's take employee reimbursements next. Streamline, build efficiencies so they don't have to worry about things and everything's on clockwork. They're traveling, things are on their phone, and they can just keep it going.
I love it. I love it. I'm actually, I think it's so, I'm thinking of somebody to introduce you to. Next week, I have a guest coming on that's going to be talking about international business and moving clients into Dubai. She's been in Dubai for quite some time. So, yeah, I know that
Wow.
you're in Aruba, place that we love.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
a whole nother conversation. Just wanted to
Whole
add that.
other conversation. Yes.
So, what experience are you intentionally crafting for your clients?
So, in terms of client experience, my husband is my chief client experience officer because he is the people person. Even though when people meet me, they're like, "But you're a people person too, Sandy. What's the difference?" So, anyway, we complement each other. But the experience with us, one that we're truly holding your hand through everything. We're not leaving you out there, and we're communicating. We're communicating with you consistently every step. So you get a communication that, okay, your work, we're now starting on your diagnostic. Oh, we now finished your diagnostic, time to schedule your meeting. Oh, we are communicating with you every step of the way, along the way, so that you're not guessing what happened. I haven't heard from my accountant. What's going on with them? No, we are communicating every step of the way with you. You know what's happening. So that's the feel that we want them to have, that we're truly partnering with them and that we're available. Nothing is a bother. So they can call us anytime, they can email us anytime. We don't have those types of restrictions. So
I love that. I love it. Well, Sandy, it's been so good hearing from you and hearing about all the things that we can do to help us better prepare to scale. I know so many folks are going to be blessed by this episode. Before you go, I'd like to have a little fun with you, if that's okay. So I have a
sure.
few questions that I just like to have fun, and they're rapid fire. So the first thing that comes to mind:
Sure.
what is your
Go for
go-to
it.
coffee order?
What is my go-to what?
Coffee order.
Oh, decaf latte, extra hot with whipped cream.
Love it. What book has had the biggest impact on how you think about business and leadership that you would
It
recommend?
that I would recommend, truly, truly. Dan Martell, Buy Back Your Time. Let me tell you this.
What's
Let me
that?
tell you, Tashana, true story. I did tell you a couple came to visit us last week, right? On vacation. And I read the book already. I have it on my Audible.
Yep. Sitting
And
on my
I
shelf.
was like, oh my gosh. So I just got the hard copy. When I did it 2 years ago, I did the Audible. Really helped me to reshape, especially my executive assistant and office manager and who she was going to be and needed to be. And let me tell you, now I have the hardback. I feel like, okay, I'm going to go through that again. And so, timely question.
It's awesome. It's awesome. So do you have a favorite quote, scripture, or mantra that helps guide you in your business?
Yeah. So my favorite, believe it or not, my favorite scripture is Psalm 139. I truly love that scripture, but I also love Jeremiah 29:11. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you, not to harm you, give you hope in the future. I hold on to that. Philippians 4:13, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. That's
I,
it.
I love it. I love it. I think that's the perfect note to end on. Thank you so much for being with me, Sandy. If you're a leader listening and you were ready to scale, or you think you're ready to scale and you're a little unsure, I hope this episode offers you some advice. And I'm going to put in the show notes all the ways that you can connect with Sandy and her firm. Sandy, this has been such a great conversation. I'm
Oh, thank you so much. I
so
had so much fun. Oh my gosh, I had so much fun.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Until next time, stay rooted, stay connected, and stay in relationship. Bye.
Bye bye. Take care.